Memory on glass. The city was a ghost wrapped in neon haze. Broken signs flickered above cracked streets where the wind carried whispers of forgotten voices. Amid the rubble, shards of glass caught the pale light, reflecting fractured memories no one dared to claim. In this fractured world, memories weren't just recollections, they were currency, weapons, and chains. Jax moved silently through the shadows, eyes sharp beneath a hood stained with years of grime. His hands, scarred and steady, clutched a small glass shard, an artifact worth more than food or bullets in this place. The fragment wasn't his, but it pulsed with something familiar, a flicker of a life he never lived, something dangerous. He paused at the edge of an alley where the city's digital skeleton leaked faint blue light, remnants of a network long dead. The Great Blackout had shredded the world's memory like a blade, erasing digital history and leaving people adrift in a sea of half-truths. Now, power belonged to those who controlled what little was left. Corporations turned fortress states, shadowy cults worshipping data fragments, and smugglers like Jax who trafficked in stolen pasts. Jax knew better than to linger, but the shard burned in his palm. It whispered secrets in a language he almost understood. His breath clouded in the cold air as he pressed it to a hidden reader embedded in his wrist, a relic from before the blackout, still functioning in a world that forgot such things. Images flickered, a woman's face, smiling but distant, a city alive with light and laughter, a name half glimpsed and erased. The shard carried a stolen life, memories torn from someone else's past. For a moment, Jax felt the pull of another existence, a warmth alien to his hardened skin. But memories weren't free. They came with a price, and someone wanted this shard back. The alley behind him suddenly seemed too quiet, too still. Jack's eyes narrowed. He wasn't alone. From the shadows emerged a figure, tall and cloaked in synthetic fabric that absorbed the neon glow. No words were spoken. The tension coiled like a predator ready to strike. Jax slipped the shard into a hidden pocket and stepped forward. "You came for this," he said, voice low and steady. The figure's head tilted slightly, a silent confirmation. Jack's mind raced. The shard wasn't just a trinket, it was a trigger, a spark that could ignite a war between enclaves or expose a secret long buried beneath layers of lies. He could hand it over, walk away, fade into the ruins. Or he could uncover what lay beneath the glass, the truth hidden in someone else's memory. The weight of that choice pressed down on him. In this broken world, the past was a dangerous thing. But sometimes, to find yourself, you had to lose everything. Jax turned away, disappearing into the labyrinth of neon and shadow. The shard's faint pulse lingered against his chest, a reminder that some memories refuse to be forgotten. Jax's footsteps echoed softly against wet pavement, swallowed quickly by the dense fog rolling through the city's fractured veins. The shard weighed heavy in his pocket, an invisible anchor dragging him back to questions he wasn't ready to face. The face in the memory haunted his thoughts, a woman with eyes that seemed to pierce through time, beckoning him toward a past he never owned. He ducked into an abandoned building, its skeletal frame half swallowed by creeping vines and rusted metal. The air was thick with dust and silence, broken only by the distant hum of dying neon. Here, in the ruins of what once was, Jax felt a flicker of safety, or at least the illusion of it. Pulling out a battered device from his coat, he connected the shard again, this time with more patience. The images stabilized. A bustling cityscape before the blackout, vibrant and alive, sharply contrasting with the decay outside. Faces flickered in and out, strangers, friends, enemies. But one face stayed constant, the woman. Her name echoed faintly in the data stream, fragmented and incomplete, but something in Jax's gut told him she was key. Maybe she held the pieces to a puzzle that could reshape everything. A soft buzz from the device jolted him. Incoming signal. Jax froze, scanning the shadows beyond the broken window. No one. The message came through encrypted. A voice modulated, cold and calculated. "You have something that belongs to us," it said. "Return the shard. No games. No sender ID. No way to trace. Just a threat veiled in static." Jax's jaw tightened. This was bigger than a simple memory trade. Whoever they were, they played for stakes higher than survival. He disconnected the device, the images fading like ghosts into the dark. The shard's pulse slowed, but the weight in his chest didn't lessen. Trust was a currency more scarce than data now, and Jax had none to spare. His mind drifted to the city's fractured alliances. Corporations ruled with iron fists disguised as governments, but the real power lay in the hands of memory traders, digital cults, and mercenaries who shaped reality through stolen pasts. Jax was just another player in a deadly game where the rules shifted like sand. Outside, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A child, no older than 10, scavenging through debris. The kid's eyes were hollow, reflecting a world that had taken everything. Jax wanted to look away, but something held him. Maybe it was the shard's echo, or the faint hope buried deep beneath his scars. He stepped outside, the night swallowing him whole. Ahead, neon signs buzzed uncertainly, casting fractured light on cracked faces. The city breathed around him, a living memory struggling to stay alive. Jax knew one thing for sure. The shard was more than a fragment of someone else's past. It was a key, and every key had its lock. The question was, whose door would he open? The city's pulse was a distant hum beneath Jax's steady steps. Every corner held a story, every shadow a secret. The shard burned quietly in his pocket, its glow faint but persistent, a beacon cutting through the fog of a fractured world. He had no plan, only a growing conviction that this fragment of memory could unravel everything or destroy him. Jax moved toward the edge of the enclave, where the ruins met the wasteland. Beyond the city, the land stretched out like a scar, barren, cracked, and silent. Few dared to cross it. Worse than radiation or bandits was the unknown that thrived there. But the shard's faint pulse pulled him forward, a whisper promising answers beyond the broken skyline. The enclave's borders were marked by rusted gates and forgotten warnings. As he slipped through the perimeter, Jax thought about the corporations, their cold, calculated rule behind walls of steel and data. Here, outside their reach, survival meant constant vigilance and the ability to adapt. Night settled deeper. The stars were dim, choked by the city's neon glow and the ever-present smog. Jax's breath came out in sharp bursts, the cold biting through his threadbare jacket. He crouched behind a crumbling wall, scanning the horizon for movement. Then, a flicker in the distance, a faint shimmer like heat rising from the earth, but steady, deliberate. A signal? He pulled out the shard, held it up against the faint light. The surface shimmered, reflecting not the city, but a hidden message. Patterns, symbols, a map? Memories encoded like a treasure hunt through a dead world. Jax's mind raced. Whoever had shattered the global networks hadn't just destroyed data, they'd buried secrets deep inside fragments like this. And someone was hunting them all. A sudden noise broke the silence, a mechanical drone, low and menacing, hovering near the border. Jax flattened himself in the dirt, heart pounding. The drone's sensors swept the area, a silent hunter searching for any sign of life or trespass. Minutes stretched like hours before the drone moved on. Jax exhaled slowly, the weight of the shard grounding him. His thoughts flickered back to the woman in the memory, her eyes haunted and full of unsaid truths. Was she a ghost, a prisoner of the past, or a key to a future no one dared imagine? Every step Jax took carried him deeper into uncertainty. The shard was a curse and a promise. To unlock its secrets meant crossing lines that others would kill to protect. But the city's cold light faded behind him now. Ahead was a path shrouded in darkness and the faintest glimmer of hope. Jax rose, gripping the shard tightly, and vanished into the night. The ruins swallowed Jax whole, their jagged edges pressing into his skin like the memories he wished he could forget. Each step crunched over shards of glass and twisted metal, remnants of a world that no longer belonged to anyone. The shard in his pocket pulsed faintly, a cold rhythm syncing with the hollow beat in his chest. It was more than a relic. It was a guide, a warning, a map to a forgotten place. The wasteland stretched before him, a barren expanse scorched by the fallout of the Great Blackout. The sky hung low, heavy with ash and pollution, swallowing the sun in a permanent dusk. This was no place for dreams. It was a graveyard for them. Jax paused beside a collapsed wall, tracing the cracked surface with a gloved finger. Layers of old graffiti clung to the concrete like ghosts. Symbols from data cults, warnings from rogue traders, prayers to forgotten gods of information. Here, faith and fear twisted into the same desperate thing. He could hear the distant hum of the city's dying neon, but the wasteland silenced everything else. No voices, no engines, only the wind dragging dry dust through the hollow bones of civilization. The silence was a weight heavier than any enemy. Jax took a breath and pushed forward, guided by the shard's pulsing light. His mind raced with questions. What was buried here? What secrets had the corporations and cults fought to bury beneath layers of lies and ruins? The device in his hand crackled suddenly, a burst of static cutting through the quiet. A voice whispered through the noise, fragmented but clear enough to send a shiver down his spine. Coordinates: North Ridge, Safe Haven, Memory Vault. The shard flared, bright and insistent. Jax's pulse quickened. The shard wasn't just a memory fragment. It was a key to a place where fragments like his might be gathered, guarded, or weaponized. Every story he'd heard, every warning whispered in dark alleys, pointed to the vault, a place rumored to hold the last vestiges of the old world's knowledge, the heart of the Great Blackout's mystery, a place that could reshape the future or destroy it. Jax tightened his grip on the shard. Trust was a currency he couldn't afford, but hope was a luxury he refused to give up. The wasteland stretched out before him like a challenge. The ruins around whispered threats and promises alike, but Jax's path was set. The shard's light was a fragile thread in the endless dark, but it was enough to pull him forward. He moved deeper into the dead zone, each step echoing against the silence of a world forgotten. Behind him, the city's neon flickered weakly, a dying pulse fading into shadow. Ahead lay the unknown, darkness, danger, and the faintest glimmer of truth. Jax vanished into the night, the shard's glow lighting the way like a beacon of fragile hope. Jack's steps slowed as the faint outlines of the North Ridge emerged from the gloom. The wasteland gave way to jagged rocks, scars of a world reshaped by catastrophe. The shard's glow steadied, brightening with purpose. He wasn't just following a pulse anymore. He was chasing a ghost, a trace left behind by those who'd wielded power over memories and information. The ridge was silent but alive with echoes. Faint hums vibrated beneath the cracked stone, like distant heartbeats of a buried machine. The air tasted metallic, thick with anticipation and old dust. Jack's fingers trembled as he pulled the shard from his pocket, its surface shimmering with shifting patterns, fragments of a lost code, a fractured language of the past. Ahead, half buried in the dirt and rubble, a battered doorway yawned open, the entrance to the vault. No guards, no alarms, just a silent invitation. He stepped inside. The darkness closed around him like a shroud, pierced only by the shard's eerie light. Walls lined with broken screens, shattered datapads, and shattered memories hung suspended in glass cases. Fragments of lives, frozen moments ripped from time. The room was a mausoleum for the forgotten, a sanctuary for what the world had tried to erase. Jax's breath caught. Among the relics, he spotted a familiar face in a flickering hologram, her eyes wide, searching, desperate. The woman from the memory shard. She was real. Her voice crackled softly, layered with static and sadness. They erased us, but some fragments survive, if you know where to look. Jax reached out, touching the glass that held her image. The shard flared, flooding the room with light. For a moment, time seemed to bend, memories overlapping, histories colliding. The weight of 1,000 lost stories pressed down, overwhelming but essential. The vault was not just a resting place, it was a battleground. The past was alive here, fractured and waiting. The corporations, the data cults, the memory smugglers, all had fought for control. Control of what people remembered meant control of who they were. Jax understood the choice before him. Bury the past and keep walking, or dig deeper and risk becoming a prisoner of memories not his own. His fingers clenched around the shard. The path forward was uncertain, shadowed by danger and sacrifice. But the promise of truth, however fragile, was a weight he could carry. Outside, the wasteland waited, indifferent and endless. Inside, the vault pulsed with stories yet to be told. Jax stepped forward, into the light of memory and the dark of what would come next.